Going, everybody. Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern, and it is Tuesday on the show. You know what that means? We got a lot to talk about. Hey, you know, NXT is tonight. Yeah, they got a big lineup coming up for the show tonight. And there's, of course, Deadline on Saturday, December 9th. We got a lineup for that thus far. And we got AEW Dynamite coming up tomorrow. Got Gold League matches, 3 of them, in the Continental Classic Tournament. And we also have 3 lined up for Collision coming up this week. We got notes on MJF. He suffered an injury, although he will continue to wrestle, including the big match with Samoa Joe coming up at the end of December. Got UFC and WWE, the TKO merger. Another lawsuit out regarding that one. We'll tell you about that today. Survivor Series, a record-breaking success for WWE. We, of course, got Wembley coming up in August of 2024. It will be your only chance, if you are in the UK, to see an AEW event in 2024. They're trying to sell some tickets, so we'll give you an update on that. Dynamite ratings. QT Marshall is leaving AEW. Oh, yeah. CM Punk debuted on Raw last night, first time in a decade, and they saved him till the very end of the show. And for those of you that didn't wait around till the very end, well, he didn't say anything. He said that he was happy to be back and that he loved all of us. The most interesting thing he said was actually after his promo was over. We'll talk about that here today as well. Plus, what the short and long-term plans are for CM Punk, at least what can be fit together from watching that promo, and plenty more. World-famous Raw Report coming up at the end of the show as well. A lot to get into today. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. Brian at... I got to get rid of that email, don't I? Anyway, back in a moment, Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, what do you want to talk about today? Let me guess. CM Punk? Well, he returned to Raw last night, and they announced a commercial-free first hour, and he was not in the first hour, nor was Randy Orton. They saved both Randy Orton and... Well, Randy Orton actually came out at the beginning, but he wrestled in the final segment. They saved the Randy Orton match and the CM Punk interview for the end of the show. And CM Punk came out, and he told us how much he loved us. That was the whole promo. He came out. He said, I've been feeling more like myself. Hell is frozen over. He says, I got 2 words I want to say. I was afraid to say, not because they weren't true, but because I'm scared about how true they actually were. It's corny and cheesy, may not sound like CM Punk, but he said, quote,
Sorry, Brian.
I've changed.
I've
changed. He said, as long as you speak from the heart, you can't go wrong because it's the truth. The truth is, I'm home. I feel like my old self. This is where I belong. This is home. I've been gone 10 years. And people never forgot me. All over the world, they chanted my name. I missed you guys. I missed all of this. Saturday was amazing. Tonight is amazing. It's been nothing but love in front of and behind the camera. Everyone coming up to me, welcome back, welcome home. Well, except for some people, he says. Some people are afraid. They are afraid of the truth. They all compete to be the best in the world, but the best in the world hasn't been here in 10 years. I understand being afraid. They are afraid I set the bar to an unattainable level. They're afraid the most dangerous and controversial, feared man in this industry just walked in the front door and there's nothing they can do about it. I can't say any of this with a straight face.
Say this is the patented Bryan Alvarez tells a promo word by word.
The best in the world is back, and he's standing in the middle of the ring, live and in living color, and his name is CM Punk.
Do you have a problem with what he said?
It was ridiculous.
Why?
Well, I didn't believe a word that he said. So here's the thing. There's 2 things here. Either he was actually trying to be sincere, and I don't believe a word he said, or he's turning heel imminently. Maybe not like in the next month or so.
Well, couldn't there be some sincerity wrapped inside of a wrestling promo?
Oh, really? As soon as they played his music and he put his mic down, he turned to the camera and he said, and I quote, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
Like Tony Kornheiser's second book. I'm
hello?
back for more cash, baby.
Now, obviously... Now, here's where it gets a little bit weird.
Well, you talked about the wise man as well, too.
Well, so I'm getting to, if you give me a second here.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. So, Seth Rollins is a babyface, right? I think we can all agree on that.
Technically.
He's a ridiculous one, but he's a babyface.
Yes.
So, he does not like CM Punk, and he buried him in his promo. And he actually got booed a little bit. So, CM Punk here in this promo is allegedly a babyface, okay? But clearly, the first feud is going to be Seth Rollins and CM Punk. So, there's 3 options here. Either we do a babyface feud, which, like, I don't know, man, maybe. Or Seth is going heel, or CM Punk is going heel. I have no idea which is going to be. But I can tell you that the first feud is going to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins, which would mean that the world title would be on the line. So I don't know if, this is going to be like the title match is going to be Royal Rumble. I don't know if they're going to do something and they'll have their title match at WrestleMania. I don't know what it's going to be. But yes, the other point of the only other thing of note in his promo is he says, I missed you guys and I missed all of this. A wise man once told me that to get everything out of this place, I got to leave and come back. I hate to say the wise man was right, but that's why I'm back to get everything I need out of this place. I'm looking at the YouTube chat, and they're like thinking there's something about me and whatever. Like, are you guys deaf? Did you guys actually watch this promo and not see what's going on? I'm here to get everything I want out of this place. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. Are we blind? So anyway, the short term is CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And the long term, if we get that long, if we make it that far, is CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And here's the thing. Like Dave was talking last night about, there was a comment that Rhea Ripley made to Randy Orton where she said that, I don't know if you're aware or not, but the bloodline is on the way down and the Judgment Day is on the way up. We now run this place. So a few months ago, they were teasing a bloodline Judgment Day deal, but then they all agreed to get on the same page and they shook hands, okay? Also, if you paid any attention to War Games, both War Games matches ended with basically the same angle, which is somebody messed up and somebody's going to get booted, okay? The day is going to come where Bayley is no longer a part of Damage Control. The day is going to come where Damian Priest is no longer part of the Judgment Day. Both of these stories have been going on for months and months and months and months and months, okay? So I know that everyone is thinking like, oh my God, it's going to be Roman Reigns and CM Punk at Mania. Maybe it will. I think that they think that if all goes well, I think we're looking at Roman Reigns and CM Punk the next year's Mania, 2025. And I think that War Games 2024, 1 year from now, is going to be the Bloodline versus the Judgment Day. Because if you've been paying attention, they ain't doing anything quick. They're taking their time. So these are seeds being planted for a long way down the road, except obviously the Seth Rollins one is the one that's coming up immediately. But that's the CM Punk story from Raw. He was on his best behavior backstage. That's all I heard. He's on his best behavior. So nice. Which literally is exactly, word for word, the exact same thing I heard the first day he showed up for AEW.
What were you expecting to hear? That he kicked in the door and wiped catering off and said,
well,
"This
of
isn't
course
for
not.
me"? And
of course not. But it was specifically stated to me that he was on his best behavior. That's what I was told. So that's nice.
So how does CM Punk?
I hope he stays on his best behavior.
How does CM Punk in your scenario fit into the Bloodline Survivor Series thing if that happens for War Games next year?
I don't think he needs to fit into that at all. I think that's a totally separate thing.
Okay, because I would say that you could do Punk and Roman Reigns after Cody wins the title at WrestleMania. And look, Rhea Ripley's not going to be a bad heel forever, you know what I mean? And if you wanted to transition into something, Drew McIntyre to me is the person that fits in the Judgment Day once Priest is out of it, even though you have Jay teased because of Rhea and all that stuff. That won't happen. But, CM Punk and Heyman at some point along the line, once Rhea's out of the way and once maybe you move Drew or something like that, even if Drew's there, Punk figuring into that with Heyman, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, DJ here says, so he didn't fight anybody. No, he didn't actually fight anybody. But,
Jeez.
Here's the thing that I think some people have forgotten. Or maybe this was just never really... Anyway. So when he showed up at AEW the very first day, the very, very first day, everything was, he was on his best behavior.
Yes.
Okay, when he got injured and he was gone for a substantial period of time with that torn triceps, and then he came back the second time. He'd been gone for a long time, months and months and months. That first day back, he was not on his best behavior. He did not get in a fight, but he went up and talked to several people about stuff. So anyway, it's not like this was a foregone conclusion that he would be on his best behavior, even though he was.
Please.
Anyway, we're going to be back in a moment with more Observer Live. It's all helpful, friendly stuff. And I remember there was one point in the tape where I was telling him something about how one of his moves looked really good. I can't remember what it was. Probably the pump handle slam.
and for some reason, he just snapped. And I remember he took all of his papers and he threw them up in the air, making a huge mess, which of course later he would have to clean up. And then he stormed off to his room. And I remember getting up and walking over and pounding on the door, asking him to come out, and he just refused. And I have no idea what the problem was. I can't explain it. Day after day after day, I waited. He wouldn't come out for anything, not even to make my beef taquitos, which he's required to make each evening. And so finally, on the fourth day, he still did not come out. He still wouldn't respond to my constant pounding or anything. And so at that point, I knew that I was going to have to do the one thing that I just did not want to do. And so I did it. I made the hardest phone call I've ever had to make.
Man, that's weird. Where did they put him?
You better come with me. Green Hill School for Wayward Youths.
Youth? Isn't Vince 27?
The doctors don't know how long it could be. It could be weeks, months, years.
Poor shoulders.
I just hope that when he gets out, he's the same shoulders he was when he went in, you know?
Who's that guy running? He's crazy looking.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. A wild day in the YouTube chat. Always fun. Hey, you know, it's Giving Tuesday.
Is it?
Yeah. You know, if you don't like me in the YouTube chat, you can donate to Whale Scout and put me to work carrying mulch. Wouldn't that be fun? I've shoveled a lot of mulch in my day. If you go to my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez, it's stickied up there at the top. It's Giving Tuesday. And you can chip in, help buy some plants and some tools and some mulch and all that kind of good stuff. If you want to know what they're doing, you can click on the photos. And there's a bunch of pictures up there. You can see all of the good work that's being done. $1,700 raised already, 20 contributors. And they have someone who's going to match $1,000. So that means, $27.85 if my math is correct? Not very good at that. So very thankful for all of that. And if you want to chip in, that is the link at the top of my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez.
You ever been to the Pike's Place market, the fish market there?
Are you kidding me? Of course I have.
You? Okay, well, they were showing, obviously, because the Rams were playing in Seattle on Thanksgiving evening, and Chris Collinsworth was telling a story about picking up some fish for Thanksgiving, and they actually had Alaskan king salmon, $34.99 a pound. $34.99 a pound.
Is that surprising?
Is that how much it is?
It was caught by hand by some bloke out on a boat and literally brought to the market in his hands.
It's incredible.
It's cheap.
Incredible. And you know what? If you actually help right now, Whale Scout, they allow things like that to happen. Salmon, very important for the bears and such. They help out with that stuff.
And the whales.
And the whales.
We
All of the sea life
We have
creatures.
more whales than bears around here, I'm afraid.
Well, still, look, don't try to, rouse them. You
All
never
right,
know.
we've got NXT tonight. Tony D and Stax versus Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo.
Can't we keep talking about nature?
We have an NXT North American Championship #1 contenders match. Wesley, Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, and Johnny Gargano. That actually sounds like a ton of fun.
Literally, with Bronson Reed in there, and thank God he went to a no contest. Usually, before you get a big NXT title shot or you're in the mix for something, you have to lose.
This person here says, Christ, I hate NXT. How could you possibly hate a match with Wesley, Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, and Johnny Gargano?
Maybe
Get
it's
out
the
of here.
skits. Maybe it's that.
Well, the skits could use some work sometimes. We got the men's Iron Survivor Challenge, Braun Breaker and Eddie Thorpe. We got the women's with Kiana James and Kalani Jordan. And Andre Chase
Ugh.
will break his silence tonight. Yes. Then we've got Dynamite on Wednesday. We got Gold League matches. John Moxley versus Jay Lethal, Mark Briscoe and Roosh, and Jay White and Swerve Strickland. And also,
those last two.
Bryan Danielson will be a special guest commentator, and we will hear from this despicable, gutless coward Christian Cage. And then on Collision this weekend, we've got the Blue League. Bryan Danielson versus Brody King, and Danielson's return with his broken orbital bone months early. We've got Andrade El Idolo versus Daniel Garcia. And we've got Brody King versus Claudio Castagnoli. So a lot of matches coming up. And we have a match on December 30th in Uniondale, New York. Samoa Joe versus MJF for the AEW title. And MJF tweeted and then quickly deleted that he has a torn labrum. And it is a torn labrum. But
Thanks, Brian.
well, listen, everyone's been arguing about these torn labrums. Like no one.
What do you mean?
Well, there's obviously various. You could have a badly torn labrum
Yeah.
and a not badly torn labrum.
Yes, and depending on your occupation, you can hit but not pitch.
Okay, he's got a not badly torn labrum. It doesn't mean it's not torn.
Yes,
but
and he can work.
a torn, like a fully torn labrum, he's not working. He's just not. I heard from actually several wrestlers yesterday that were like, my labrum was torn, couldn't do anything. Finn Balor, actually, who was not one of them, which is too bad. Got a lot of questions for that guy. But he tore his labrum, and he was out forever. So, he's able to work. So, I don't know how many matches he's going to do between... I figured when they did that deal where Joe said, I'm going to keep an eye on you because I want you healthy by the pay-per-view. I figured that meant MJF was having no matches till then. But I'm not sure that's the case. He could be wrestling on some shows.
No. Why? That's insane.
Bryan
Especially
Danielson's working Saturday with a cracked orbital bone, brother.
Well, you know what? Somebody actually might want to keep control on these things.
Well, that's not happening.
Well, that's a damn shame then, because why does MJF even need to wrestle when you have the
He
ability
doesn't.
to stand with a microphone and do everything you need to do? The match is already set up. It's Samoa Joe. He doesn't have to do a damn thing, and he shouldn't do a damn thing unless it's to work something out to see exactly where he's at. That's it. This is just insanity if he goes out there. It's insanity what Bryan Danielson's doing. It's completely ridiculous, but here we go.
Then we've got this from WrestlingObserver.com. Not everyone was happy when it was announced earlier this year that WWE would merge with UFC to create the new TKO. Recent lawsuit by an Ohio pension fund that was unsealed last week claimed then WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon and other board members moved for a, quote, quick sale and a favorable one to Endeavor, founded by McMahon's friend and former agent Ari Emanuel. Hollywood Reporter first to report the news. TKO is yet to respond publicly. The reason for the suit is the investors feel the deal was done to allow McMahon to stay on as TKO executive chairman and avoid further complications and a possible ouster due to sexual misconduct allegations that arose in the summer of 2022. In doing so, the suit claims, WWE turned away from 2 all-cash offers that they perceived as having better terms. The other 2 potential bidders weren't identified, but were referred to as, quote, major institutions with significant access to capital and, quote, had compelling reasons to close an acquisition of WWE.
Interesting.
And I don't want to speculate, but I got one obvious. Actually, I got 2 obvious ones that I would think.
Good.
Well,
I mean,
think
we just go back to the names we talked about originally.
the 2 that listen, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea who it is, but when I read major institutions with significant access to capital with compelling reasons to close an acquisition with WWE, obviously one would be NBC Universal because they're paying out the butt hole for this programming. And if you look at how much they the company was sold for, like over the course of 10 years, it'd be cheaper to buy it. And, of course, it's the Saudis as well. So I don't know if, those were the 2, but those were the 2 that would immediately jump to mind.
There's Liberty Media. I mean, there were several.
You realize the Saudis pay $60 million for a show?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they're about now.
You'd be better off buying it, is my point.
Yeah, well.
And it's also funny because
we may not be better off if they bought it, Brian.
It is funny that all the talk of they sold to whatever to keep Vince on board, and then he gets brought on board and ousted from creative, which probably is the only thing he actually wants to do. What else do you think that guy wants to do?
Cash out.
What do you think he's doing? What do you think he's doing right now? And you think he likes it more than doing creative? Doubtful.
Hopefully not signing any NDAs or having any reason to. But I think what the most important thing is when it comes to this stuff is the discovery process and how many things actually come out. How much more do we find out? I mean, that's the only thing that's interesting from my point of view when it comes to this stuff is exactly what comes out. What is Ohio looking for? What is this group going to be able to get out of the lawyers? And how much do we not know that gets now made public? I mean, look, we got the government still looking into him too, so we still have more that's going to come out about Vince McMahon at some point.
We got Survivor Series 22, record-breaking success, highest viewership, largest gate, best merch sales in the history of Survivor Series. People are always saying that it's not really that successful, even though it actually is.
Yeah. Well,
this is not just... What? They're not successful just because of their TV deals, everybody. Their highest viewership, their largest gate. That means the number of people actually buying tickets to go to the event.
It's kind of a machine
and
that's
best merchandise
in
the history of Survivor Series. They're selling tons and tons of things to their fans who love them right now.
Disney's only big because of the movies, right?
No, they got those. Actually, those Disney stores are out of business.
They got the parks. They got everything, and that's what WWE set out to create, and that's what they've got. So they have things that they can rely on. And when things are all humming really well, even if they're not at optimum level, it's still generating a ton of money for you. So.
And then we've got the Wembley pre-sale going on now, and the actual tickets going on sale shortly. And Tony Khan's all over the. He's on the BBC promoting this. Mm-hmm. And he said, and I quote, "I can promise you, AEW All In London will be the only wrestling show we do in England this year." They want to sell some tickets to Wembley.
Sure.
They're putting them on sale months and months and months in advance.
And raise some, apparently.
And telling you if you don't go, you cannot see a show somewhere else.
No.
You're not going to do another show.
No.
If you want to see live AEW in England, you must go to Wembley. So we'll see how the ticket sales do. We don't have any numbers yet. Just the pre-sale has begun. About a week from now, we'll probably get a better idea of how things are going.
You're going to lead into this Raw review. SmackDown this week, I have a feeling it's going to get killed in the ratings. Oregon and Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. It's a big game with big implications, so it's going to be interesting to see if SmackDown loses anybody the same way that Raw loses them to football on Monday.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Green Hill? Hello? He's escaped. Do you know which way he was headed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Shoulders. He's been here.
It's Vinny straitjacket.
You're getting close.
Before we get into the Raw report, should mention two things. Dynamite last Wednesday, 845,000 viewers in a .26, which is a shockingly good number. And this is the second year in a row that the Thanksgiving Eve edition of Dynamite did not die. For the first 2-3 years, you put a show on night before Thanksgiving, and AEW fans were off doing something else.
It travels way up, too.
But now no more. The show was up from the prior week, up 2.7%, but the demo was down a bit. But regardless, that's a shockingly good number for AEW the night before Thanksgiving. And in not good news for AEW, QT is leaving, QT Marshall. And in his quote, he posted on X saying, "Thank you, AEW, thank you, Tony Khan. Had the privilege of being here since day one. I've written over 750 different formats for All Elite Wrestling, always with pride. As much as I've enjoyed being a VP, manager of talent relations, wearing a myriad of hats, company has changed a lot since 2019. The company has changed a lot since 2019 and is heading in a different direction. And I feel it's best I do the same. As we only get one chance to go all in, I've officially resigned from AEW. Will fulfill all obligations by the end of 2023. And this guy, he did a ton. And I heard from a lot of people yesterday that said, I don't know what's, out there in terms of this, but this is a big blow to AEW to lose QT. So, yeah, it's was a surprise to me. But of course, he is very, very close to Cody, and they were still doing the Nightmare Factory together. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that It's clear he wants to wrestle, so I don't know what he's going to do short term. I would think perhaps long term he could end up doing, being a trainer or an agent or something for WWE. But it appears that he wants to wrestle, so we'll see what happens.
WWE can call him and drag him in and go, exactly what happened here with Jade Cargill. Explain this to us. No, but
this is not all on QT. You realize Jade Cargill was training with Bryan Danielson?
Look, I'm making a joke there. Obviously, because of all of the hats that he talked about wearing, it's absolutely known how important of a person that he could be and how much of an addition he could be added backstage. But if he wants to wrestle, it's going to be interesting for him because he has been down in AAA. There are some places he can go on the indies and maybe lend some of his, help and assistance to and try to do something that way. But it's interesting how much there is to look into him saying that they're going in a different direction, because some people have taken that and just taken it as part of an exit letter, and then others have run with it, talking about, how, what does that mean, and trying to dissect it and figure out exactly what that means when it comes to all the changes that have been made in AEW.
So the Raw show opened up with the return of the gigantic Randy Orton, and he came back, and essentially he's got business to attend to with the Bloodline because they are the ones that put him out for almost 2 years. And he said there would be RKOs aplenty coming. And Rhea Ripley comes out. This is where she said that, well, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Judgment Day is the new top act in town. And you've made a lot of enemies. We're going to put you out permanently. And the fans want him to RKO her. But he says, I see this show all the time when I was out. Mommy this, mommy that. Well, Daddy's back. Fans chant, who's your daddy? And he says, I ain't going to change. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. And she said, well, you are now an enemy. So Dom and JD, who's in a neck brace, by the way, he's neck strong, hit the ring and they're stomping him down. Randy makes his own comeback. It's JD with the RKO. And then he challenges Dom to a match for later on tonight. Jelly Roll was there, which led to some comedy, because his name is Jelly Roll. But tag team turmoil.
Slum American Records, Brian?
Bro, this tag team turmoil. You know what my most hated thing in wrestling is?
What's that?
It ain't CM Punk.
Music distractions.
It ain't The Miz.
Oh, okay.
Commercial-free hours of wrestling. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. This match, Dave said this match was only 24 minutes. That's impossible. It's absolutely, objectively impossible. Crowd was dead for most of it. This crowd in Nashville sucked.
Well.
So we had Alpha Academy versus DIY.
Did you give them a whole lot with that? I mean, come on.
DIY won. Then Indus Sher and DIY. And it's 2-on-1 because they laid out Ciampa, and Gargano cradles and pins Veer. Like, I don't get it, brother. Creeds and DIY. Creeds got the win with the Brutus Ball. Then we had the New Day and the Creeds, and the Creeds beat the New Day with the Brutus Ball. Fans weren't even into the New Day. And then we had Imperium versus the Creeds. And in this match, they did all the big near falls, kickouts, etc. So the fans got into that because, that's what the fans care about, because you always go to commercial during the heat. So they did all that, and then the Creeds hit the Brutus Ball and got the pin. The Creeds are the number one contenders for the tag team titles.
They are not ready for primetime skill-wise, but my God, they're the sloppy Steiners. Once they get a lot better and more experienced, they'll be great. But my God, at least just watching them, it is a real breath of fresh air to that division.
Then we had Finn meeting with Damien, and he said, man, we can't take these Creeds lightly. And Priest is barely paying attention. And finally he snaps and he goes, I know what you guys, just lay it on me. I failed. I was the leader. I screwed everything up. And Rhea says, no, it's not a big deal. We made you, even though you made yourself leader, she notes, and it didn't go our way, we're not going to hold it against you. And he said, all right, I guess families do fight. Speaking of families, how's JD? Finn says, he's not good. Let's go check on him. And off they go. This Priest is screwed. His day's coming. Cody comes out for a promo, and he addresses CM Punk, says, "Welcome back." And he says, "We all know there's only one destination for me, and therefore I have asked Adam Pearce. I am the first to declare myself for the 2024 Royal Rumble. But in the meantime, out comes Nakamura. This will be his feud prior to the Rumble. And he says Cody was a great hero. He won his battle. He needed to continue his story. But first he needs to set Nakamura free. I was patient with you week after week," he said, "but now I am done waiting. I will bring chaos to you." They're gonna get Okada.
Oh, yeah?
Doubtful.
You get Muda?
I don't want to make bets, okay? I don't want to make bets.
Good.
Okada is not going anywhere.
I wouldn't think
That
so.
includes AEW.
Yeah.
That includes WWE.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going anywhere.
He is a Bushi Road priority, but also remember that WWE just signed their new deal with Ibama or whoever it was in Japan, and Keiji Muto has been doing a lot of stuff, so I'm sure they want Okada, but I have a feeling Keiji Muto could make a special appearance even though he's retired at WrestleMania.
Then we had Bronson and Ivar, and it was fine, but like my expectations were so high for this match.
This was
And-
like superstars from 1990.
Well, it was clearly, and they've done this before, this is not the big match. They did something as a teaser with a count-out finish, and I will say this, like, once they did that count-out finish and these guys started brawling and smashing each other in the crowd, I mean, this place went nuts. They were hot for that brawl in the crowd. And Ivar did a big flip dive off this gimmick onto Bronson on the floor, and everybody came out to break it up, and it was a fun post-match brawl, and they'll do it again.
Mid-cards can be good, and mid-card feuds can be good.
And you know what I like about this WWE?
What's that?
This new WWE?
What's that?
Callbacks.
Well,
They had a segment with Nia, Zoe, and Shayna, and Nia's blah, 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 and Shayna tells her to shut her hole. That's what she said.
she's shuffling that deck of cards because she's the ace of spades.
And Zoe steps in and challenges Nia for later. We had a Judgment Day segment with Truth in the locker room. I can't believe how much time Dave spent on this. Then we had Nia and Zoe Stark. So every
sucks.
every Nia match, something happens where I'm like, what?
She
So
wrestles
last
like the
week-
Western Kentucky Hilltopper mascot.
You know, I don't know. You know, I think probably some of you in the Twitch chat, but definitely nobody in the YouTube chat knows this. It's fake, okay? Are you aware of that? This thing is fake. So last week, Nia is standing on the middle rope, and Raquel is supposed to go up underneath her and lift her up onto her shoulders, okay? Well, it's fake. So all Nia has to do is keep standing on the middle rope, and when Raquel goes up under her, she just pushes out and just goes up. It's easy. Well, she's standing on the middle rope. Raquel starts to get under her, and Nia takes both of her feet off the middle rope. So now all of her weight is legitimately on Raquel's neck. Raquel almost dies. She finally manages to get her up. I was like, God, is this that hard? So then this week was just bizarre. So Nia's finish is a Yokozuna sit-down splash. We've seen this 1,000 times. You lay somebody down, you go up on the middle rope, you jump off and sit on her, and you pin them. That's it, right? So Nia drags her to the corner, and she does this sit-down splash on Zoe, and then stands up, walks next to her, and then lays down and pins her. I thought, why did you do that?
Probably because Zoe made a sound that hurt.
Why
know
did
what I
you
mean?
Well, hold on to the ropes and then take your weight off Zoe.
Brian, there were a couple of things during that match. I won't belabor the point, but she's a terrible professional wrestler. And I know, well, you've never been in the ring. I don't have to be in the ring because I have enough active and people who were professional wrestlers say she's a terrible professional wrestler. I just, I know she's got a place. She can have a place on the roster, but it's not wrestling week after week after week in these matches. Use her as a special attraction. Use her like you would use Omos or something like that. But, I mean, my God, these matches are terrible.
We had a Gunther segment where Miz walked up and wants a rematch, And Miz says, I'm sure I can beat you for the title. I know it, and I think you know it. And Gunther says, I beat you the other day. You brought your A game. You proved you belong in the ring. But not with me. And he leaves. I howled. They're going to do that match again. Can you believe it? Seth does a promo, and I hope I have time for this. The best thing in WWE right now is this Drew McIntyre story. Because Seth comes out, and essentially he says, I got to talking with Adam Pearce. And first, he buries CM Punk and everything. Then Drew McIntyre comes out, and he says, you told me when you beat me, the blame was all on me, and it would be the best thing that ever happened to me, and you were right. And so I want to shake your hand, and I am coming for that title again someday. And Seth says, well, I got a title match already coming up next week. So Drew McIntyre says, well, if I may ask, who's it with? And Seth says, Jey Uso, who, by the way, is not only Drew's arch rival, trigger word, but Drew beat him clean a week ago. So now Drew is furious, and he snaps. He headbutts Seth Rollins, and he kills him, lays him for dead. They sent out they sent out Jey to break it up. And then we had a follow-up later, which doesn't directly tie into this, but it does. We'll talk about that after the break. Observer Live. Drew character is awesome
Yeah,
because he is justifiably angry. But of course, the issue is he takes out his anger in the wrong way. But anyway, he's all furious that Seth has given this title match to this guy that he hates that he just beat. And then the very next segment is, well, actually, a little bit later. There's a segment with Sammy where, he's talking to Drew, and Drew ends up challenging him to a match for next week. But a little bit later on in the show, Randy Orton meets with Jey Uso. And, of course, Jey Uso also, his family killed Randy Orton, just like they screwed Drew. And Jey apologizes to the guy. That's all Drew wants is an apology. And, bro, this Jey's going around apologizing to this guy, that guy, not apologizing to Drew. So, man, now Drew's really going to want to kill this guy.
Right.
But anyway.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, a couple of other segments. Chelsea and Piper beat Natty and Tegan for the tag titles, which was, it was just there. Just a match. Dom versus Orton. Orton beat him with the RKO. I like this match. It wasn't like a great match or anything like that. But, man, Randy Orton coming back after 2 years. First match back. This guy's so good. And he beat this guy with the RKO. And that led to our main man, Phil, coming out for that promo there at the end. Just spilling his heart out to all of his friends, fans. Yes.
You know what I like about Drew? He's tied in with Rollins right now. He's tied in with Zayn. He's tied in with Jay. He's tied in with Damian Priest. At some point, he's going to be tied in with Orton, I'm sure. And the thing is, even if he's not going to re-sign, you have a bunch of people that can't wait to get rid of him for his attitude. But if he does re-sign and he's going to be there long term, man, what a perfect lightning rod for everybody. I think he's been fantastic.
We're out of time, everybody. We'll be back later on tonight. Brian, Vinny, Granny, Craig, Sean Show. Saturday night's main event. I'll give you the details on my Twitter at Bryan Alvarez. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.